Fishing trips anywhere, anytime. FishingBooker.com.
Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com.
This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit TemptationsTreats.com to learn more.
Welcome back. Yet another podcast here on the Outdoor Drive. Another week, another season open, another thing going on here on the Outdoor Drive. This is your boy East Coast Trev, and I'm joined with the madman himself.
Yellow.
What's up, buddy?
What up?
Dude, summer came in like a wrecking ball. Dude,
You're telling me.
It's so bad. The other day, last week, I was thinking, I'm like, I really need to get out there and put out some cameras because it was like 70 degrees. And then the next thing you know, now it's 100. And I'm like, yep, there's no way. Not happening.
I thought you did get cameras out.
No, I got 0 cameras out. 0.
I thought you said the other day you did.
No, I was planning on it because it was colder, I don't think I'm going to do all that many cameras. There's definitely 2 or 3 I want to get out and just kind of really focus on those areas heavy. But it's so hot.
I kind of, being the planner aheader that I am, I saw this coming a mile away, right? Like I knew, back in February, right? It was like I was ice fishing and I'm like, yeah, it's going to turn into turkey season. And like, I knew how hard I was going to go with turkey season. And like, I knew that the end of turkey season came bear camp. So like, I could have told you in February, I'm going to blank and it's going to be June. Mm-hmm. Right. And now here we are, middle of June. And I was like, yep, that just blew by. Like, I feel like I was ice fishing like 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
But yeah, here we are, middle of June, baby. Let's go. What's next? It's all right. Whatever. Just roll with the punches.
It's all good. It's. I guess the anticipation of watching the velvet grow and all that stuff is great, but we kind of know what we need to know already, right? Because we're going to focus on those same spots, in my opinion, unless you have something new that you want to hunt. The 2 spots I want to hunt they're my normal hunting spots. I just want to move camera. I already know what tree I want to put the stupid things in. You know what I'm saying?
Like turning an old man, dude.
I guess.
You know you're going to be opening day.
What's that?
You already know where you're going to be opening day?
Yeah, no, I don't know where I'm going to be opening day. I really just want to put those cameras in those couple of spots because to then see what's going on from past years' thoughts, right? Like
yeah. I have like a handful of spots. I had cameras last year where it's like there has to be a camera there this year for sure.
Right.
Then the couple spots where I'm like, that camera really didn't do a whole lot for me. Like a couple times it picked up my target buck and it did throw a little piece of the puzzle there for me. Be like, oh shit, like what's he doing over there? But I can eliminate a couple locations, but then I have new locations where I'm like, you know what, I really need one here now. Right. So it's just really jockeying around what has to have a camera again, what doesn't need a camera again, and then maybe some new spots that have cameras this year and try to play that game. But I'm not really leaning on them as much as I used to. Like, it definitely helps have, especially with cell cams, like it helps having that real time info and knowing like, oh, he was there, whatever, yesterday. But it doesn't really change the way I hunt, right? Like I hunt the conditions and the weather and the wind and basically like, what my gut tells me where I need to be and when I need to be there. So
I think that the other thing too, when it comes to cameras, and especially this time of year where you put those cameras, it kind of like puts you in that predicament to start to develop a game plan that is kind of null and void, right? Because you kind of find yourself where you're like, I gotta be here. I gotta be here. I gotta be here. I know damn right sure early season from what I've learned last year, if I put them things in August and they're hitting it and then September rolls around, I know that they're gonna be there. Like I'm just
Yeah.
the place where I'm putting the cameras.
You don't see a shift when the velvet comes off, like some of
So
those
you
bucks.
so you do, right? But the thing is, like, that shift does happen. But last year, and this is I just want to prove this fact, is that those deer had been around, and I'm putting the camera closer to where I believe that they're coming from to try and get them in more in daylight. Where I had them, they were on the fritz of breaking, they'd be 5 minutes before last light, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before last light, 5 minutes after last light. I'm trying to get closer to them, and I think that this is going to put it into that predicament where I might be able to kill them in the first week of the season,
Right.
and just getting closer to them. But it's always knowledge that you already know because you've ruled out, like you just said, you rule out those spots that you think that you don't want to have a camera. So, like, you're like, okay, that spot wasn't that good. And sometimes checking off that box where I shouldn't put a camera is just as beneficial as putting a camera where you know that it has to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm just looking for, I'm just prospecting, really.
Yeah.
Like I want to know what's in there, what's around,
Right.
and stuff like that. Like
Who's
for
still
the
alive?
most part, it's like I know there's deer there. I know there's going to be bucks there. I know there's going to be a good buck in the area. Like I could not have the cameras at all. I'm still going to hunt that area and I'm going to pick it apart and hunt different sections of it at different times and all that stuff, camera or not, no camera. I just like to get pictures to know like what's around. Like when I see that deer, even on public land, like I'm not naming a deer, but I want to be like, oh, there's that. Like I've seen that deer on camera. Like I know what he is. I know what he looks like or whatever, you know?
Well, and consistently year after year, you've kind of now built kind of a resume with him where he does X, Y, and Z on certain times of the year, especially
yeah, the one I'm talking about, I don't know shit what he does. I don't even think he knows what the fuck he's doing. But
most of them don't. But you think you do, right? And you can put it all together. You just need that inventory.
It's
to
gonna
put
be
him
more like, holy fuck, he's back.
He's back, and we're gonna do the same.
And he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I say, yeah, it looks good on paper until the camera goes, and you're like, ah.
Yeah.
All right, there he is. Yep.
Part of me, I think old of me would be like stressing right now. Like, well, all right, let's be honest. I'm really not that far behind because, truth be told, I don't like loading public land up with mock scrapes and cameras during turkey season. There's too many guys in the woods. It's not green up. Guys are walking around all over the place chasing gobbles. Like, guys are just going to find my shit. They're more likely to find it during turkey season. So I don't want a guy to find my mock scrape with my Tacticam hanging up 10 feet above it and just, start getting nosy and picking around and poking around and finding my shit, right? So I always look at it like if I wait till after turkey season, there's way less guys in the woods.
Right.
It's green up, so everything, you can't see shit from far away. Like you kind of have to be right on top of it, all that stuff. So realistically, like I'm only, 2-3 weeks out of turkey season?
You're really not.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm really not that late.
No.
But I feel late. I'm like, I gotta get my shit together a little bit, right? But I'm not stressing by any means. Like, I'll get her done. I always do.
Yeah, well, there's, you found a found love, and you're still out there grinding, and just it's something different.
Fucking ripping browns out of the water, dude. I caught a nice one with Bittman and his kid on. I'm not gonna say where I was, but new place to me. We met up last Friday night. It was cool, man. Like Chris is to my left, Zach's to my right. Nice run right in front of us. We're all fishing, man. Chris caught a tiger trout, which that was cool. I was a little jealous, and then boom, pulled out a real nice brown trout, which I love brown trout. Like brown trout are like my fave.
Was he fly fishing too?
Yeah, we all were.
Oh.
Yeah. His oldest son's big fly fisherman.
Oh, really?
Oh, big time. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, he was throwing woolly bug or something like that. I don't know, but it was cool because we were like kind of spread out. Look to my left, there's Chris. Look to my right, there's Zach, and just worked down the river. It was a good night, real good night too. Like just nice Friday night after work. It was fun.
Awesome. That's killer. Was there a lot of fish in there?
Yes and no. But yeah, no, they were still holding fish for sure. I mean, I don't think it was loaded, but there was fish in there
There's
for sure.
fish to be had. Was there a lot of other guys in there?
No. There were farther down river. Like we passed them on the way in, but we kind of drove by everybody and kind of went up into
Kind of went up in there.
harder access.
Yeah.
I
So
don't want to say too much, but you know.
we fished Sunday, and it was like every place that we went had people in it. And
I'm surprised.
It was Father's Day.
Was it fly only?
No, not fly only. No, we were fishing. We were just fishing a bunch of old spots. You know, it was me and my old man and my brother, and just fishing a lot of old spots that we fished together growing up. You know, we would fish. You know, we would trout fish every Saturday morning together, and you know, every opening day we used to trout fish a ton together, and we got Dad out. And we just went to a bunch of old spots that we used to fish and just had an absolute ball. But it was like you pull down one road and you're like, damn, there's somebody already there. Pull down another road, there's someone already there. Like 2 trucks, 3 trucks.
This late in the summer too. Like,
dude, people will pull
kind of fizzles out, you know?
Yeah, we went to a pretty off the beaten path place that typically it's kind of crazy. It's the river, but there's a big beaver dam down there, and it's been there since I was a kid. I just remember the beavers always being in there, and it's in an area they don't get rid of the beavers. And we went in there, and what happens is the river will push all the fish into this big giant pool in the back because the beaver dam is there, right? And all the fish get tucked in there. So we're in there fishing, dude. It's 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. First stop. Pretty remote place. Dude, we're in there fishing, and someone came in right behind us and started fishing. I'm like, where in the world did you come from? I ain't never seen nobody back. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those things. Like
it's crazy in like those smaller holes, smaller brooks and streams, right? Like I could see like the Farmy, the Salmon River,
right,
the Natchog, like those big, well-renowned rivers in Connecticut. But like when you get in those little backwoods brooks and streams, like I'm surprised guys are still pounding those into June.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Guys were still keeping trout. Like, dude, I come around the corner at one spot, and the dude's beating the trout's head off the log. I'm like, what is going on here, man?
You
like,
know,
just like
I don't keep trout. I did when I was a kid, for sure. Right. I don't keep them, but honestly, like, I don't hate someone. If you're going to keep trout in the middle of June, like, dude, might as well. Like, a lot of those fish are going to die soon anyways. The water's going to get too hot. Like, in those little brooks, dude, they're not going to hold over. They're going to die.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you want to take them home, like, by all means, take them home.
Hey, listen, hats off, dude. I'm not here to tell you that you're not. You paid for your trout stamp, dude.
Right.
Like, all bets off. It was, honestly, I
never beat a trout over the head before, though.
Dude,
you look at a trout the wrong way and he fucking dies.
Yeah, dude, used to hit him over the head all the time. I remember taking my forceps and beating them once, and they go, you know, like just throw them on the stringer and be done with it. No, I mean, I really, honestly, I mean, kudos to him. He's out there doing it, bro. He paid for his trout stamp. Like, take him home. You know what I'm saying? Like, take him home. If it's not, especially, everything else is going to eat them. The falcons and the otters, they're going to die. It's going to get hot. We're in small little creek streams, dude. Like, they're arm swings, wide. I mean, dude, two's his own, man. I don't have no problems with that. That river does, which was cool. And I'm micro nymphing. So, like, dude, I was catching 6, 8, 10-inch brook.
Native brookies?
Natives, bro. Loaded.
Yeah,
the place is
sweet.
loaded.
They're so
natives.
Colorful, too.
Dude, it was so cool. And what's funny is I was a little upset, but I was actually kind of happy in the same thing as, as we talk about in this podcast. But, like, I didn't even have my phone on me. I left my phone in the truck. I didn't take a picture. I didn't.
You can't text and fish. Like, you can't text and fly. Like, you can. I mean, there's some forms of fishing that you can, like, cast your bait out there and float a bobber and text or whatever. But, like, if you're throwing a lure or you're fly fishing, you don't have an extra hand to text. So it's like, just might as well leave your phone in the truck.
Well, I just like it to take pictures, but is you know what? I was out there with my dad and my brother, and I didn't even care. You know what I'm saying? Like, who am I going to text? What am I going to do? I was upset in the fact that I want to take some pictures of some brookies and stuff, but it was so cool to, like, it was so awesome to be flipping in these small little corner runs and eddies and stuff and picking off fish right after left. and it was just super cool. I'll probably end up going back there in the summer because some of those spots were definitely loaded down. And now that I started catching those natives there, I know it's a native stream, but there's 2 or 3 native streams right up in there that would be super fun to fish throughout the summer that I used to fish as a kid and catch those stupid natives. So it was cool. It was super fun, and it's we'll see. I really found, like yourself, I mean, just super fell in love with this sport. Like I'm glad that I have, because it's been super cool. It's definitely to learn and understand it as an adult, and learning some of these things that I knew as a kid, and just kind of did it.
Dude, I'll tell you, I forgot to tell you this. This is a funny story. So I told you I had ordered short story long, right? Let's put it that way. So I had ordered a pair of deck boots. I've been wanting a pair for a while. And coincidentally, this has nothing to do with me being a fly fisherman. The pair that I saw online that just caught my eye, color scheme, like looks, all that shit, ended up being made by Orvis. So I'm like, this is the pair I want. Like, I like them. So I order them direct from Orvis. I'm a size 12 and everything. Like my Crispies, everything's a size 12. Except for my Hey Dudes are 11 and a half. So I order a 12. They come, dude, they're a little too big. Like, they're a little sloppy, a lot of foot move. So I'm like, shit. Well, they took forever to come, ordering. So I'm like, oh, I remember Bitman told me there's an Orvis in Avon. So I call up Orvis, and I'm like, hey, man, dude's super cool. His name's Drew. I'm like, hey, so question for you. Do you have these boots in stock? And he's like, yeah. So I was like, all right, second question. Will you do an exchange on an online order? Can I come into the store and swap out for something I ordered online? He's like, yeah, man, come on in, try on the 11s. If you don't like them, keep your 12s, like whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, Avon's a poke for me, dude. It's like an hour and a half. But I was going to, I forget, Wallingford for training, for OSHA training.
Yeah.
Which is still 45 minutes away, but it's better than an hour and a half. So I'm like, all right, listen. I got training tomorrow till 3:30. I'm going to come see you after that tomorrow afternoon. He's like, yeah, man, come on up. So I finished training. I go up to Orvis. I go in, like, dude, super awesome store. Like, awesome. It was like so cool. So I walk in. Drew's there. I talk to Drew. He's like, yeah, man, I got him right here. I try them on. I end up going with the 11s. They run a little big anyway. So I'm trying them on. I still got the deck shoes on. I'm like walking around the store. They're doing the exchange or whatever. So there's another kid that's working in there. And he's talking to another kid behind me. And all of a sudden he's like, hey, is your name Matt? And I'm like, no. And he's like, Mark? And I'm like, no. And he's like, I know you. And I was like, I'll be honest with you, bro. Like, I've been fly fishing for like a month. I've never been in the store in my life. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And he goes, nah, man. He's like, your voice is so familiar. And I was like, so I go, podcast? And he points at me, he goes, Kill is gonna kill. And I'm like, that's me. And he's like, dude, that's awesome. I knew your voice. Like, I fucking love it. I love Kill is gonna kill, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that's
in
awesome.
Orvis, of all places. In Orvis, of all places.
Yeah. It was awesome. So I was like, yeah, dude, that's me, right? So anyways, his name's Brian Myers, like super cool dude. So then, bro, it's on now. Like, I'm in Orvis. He works for Orvis. He's a fly fisherman. Like, we start talking. Yeah, he works there. He wasn't like a patron. Like, yeah. So we start talking, man, and it's like, oh, I thought they were gonna have to kick me out when the store closed, because it's like, we start. And I've come a long way, dude. Like, I know the difference between a dun and a spinner and a cripple and an emerger, and I know all this stuff, but there's still stuff I'm still learning, right? So, like, we start talking about caddises, and I was like, dude, tell me about caddises, because, like, it keeps coming up, and, like, I have some elk hair caddises. I have yet to see anything on the water that even remotely looks like one, and, like, guys are talking that, like, they're hitting them on caddises, and I'm like, I'm not seeing this. Like, explain this to me.
Right.
So then he's like, no, bro, they're hitting on the caddis pupa. And I'm like, okay, what is that? I don't know what a pupa is, right? Like, I haven't gotten this far yet.
Yeah.
So, bro, we go right through, like, they got all the flies out. So he's pulling them out, and he's like, this is a caddis pupa. And he's explaining to me, like, the life cycle of, like, the pupa and then the larva, and all the way through, like, like, I understand the life cycle of the insect, like how it lives down in the rocks for, like, a year and a half, and then it comes up, and the fish hit it on the way up, and then it gets to the surface, and it finishes into a dun, and then a spin. Like, I understand all that, but like, it was cool because all the flies are right there in the store. So he could pull out the fly and be like, this is what you'd want to use for a caddis pupa. This is the larva section. Then we'd go around and he's like, this is the dun, right? So I was like, oh, all right. So now I'm like seeing the fly that matches the talk, right? It was cool. And then, like, of course, you know me, he's like explaining one thing to me, and of course it brings up like 3 more questions.
Right.
He's like, that's a really, dude, you're asking all the right questions. Like, let me explain that to you. And it's like, dude, I could be here all day. Like, what time do you close? 6 o'clock? Like,
That's priceless.
I might lock the store with you.
Did you give him some stickers before you left?
I did. Yep. I gave every employee got stickers and cards and everything. Oh yeah.
Stevie's
Oh yeah.
in there, like...
100%. Yep.
Oh, good shout out to Brian then. That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome, dude. Like, Drew too, man. Like, you know, they got a sweet gig up there because they're in retail. Like, they're selling apparel and gear, but like, they get to talk shop with every single customer. And like, there was a few times, man, like, I felt bad where like Brian or Drew would be talking to me for like 20 minutes, half hour, and they'd be like, hey, I gotta go check. Like, they'd have to go check on another customer. Like, do you need any help? And then like then they'd come back and we'd start talking again. But like, I definitely felt like I was like, I was hogging all the knowledge while I was there.
Yeah, well, it's all good. And it's right next to the farmy too.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. Well,
yep.
Shout out to them boys.
Really cool shop they got there. Like, they have everything.
I'll have to swing up there while I'm up there this weekend.
Yeah, tell them Killer's gonna kill sent you.
Seriously, I'm gonna.
It was so funny though, because I didn't say the outdoor drive.
Right.
He was just like, I know your voice, and I was like, I just said podcast, and he was like, Killer's gonna kill.
That's awesome. That's
it was cool. And then like, so I don't know, like, obviously he's a fly fisherman,
right?
But like, I don't know, like, what else you do in the outdoors? Like, is he a deer hunter? Is he a turkey hunter? Whatever. So then we start talking turkey hunting, right? And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I was lucky. Like, I got one long beard and one Jake off of public land last year. Like, it was tough. Like, I literally had I had to set up right under the roost to get it done because any other thing I did, like, just wasn't happening. I was like, yeah, it was a pretty tough year in Connecticut last year, whatever. And then like he started talking about like my season, right? And he was like, dude, you were everywhere. He's like, it motivated me so much. Like, I'd see your posts, and he's like, I just had to get out there and like get it done and da-da. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, that's what it's all about right there.
That is what it's all about. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
That's sick.
I was like, yeah, now show me how to use this caddis.
Yeah, what's this caddis all about? Give me your caddis.
No, it really was cool because, like I said, I have a pretty good understanding. Oh, I'll tell you another thing that I learned from him. So, like, all right, so I have learned and understood that, like, you know, you have to read how the fish are breaking, right? So if you see a trout and he's just like breaking the surface and like you see like just the dorsal fin comes up, he's probably hitting an emerger. If they come out of the water, like, and you see like the mouth come out, they're hitting a dun on the surface. I'm talking dry flies, right? So I'm like, all right. So, this past week, Monday maybe, I'm down at the local little fly fishing only spot, and it's a good place for dries. And I've been like force feeding dries. Like, I know I can catch them on a nymph 100%, but like, sometimes I go down there and I'm like, listen, I don't want to just catch fish. Like, I don't want to just catch them on a nymph. Like, I'm forcing dries because when they hit a dry, dude, there ain't nothing like it. So I'm down there and I'm watching these fish and I'm like, I try this dry and like fish are breaking. And I'm like, fuck, all right, let me try something else. Like, try a different color, different size. And like, I can't get them a bite. Bro, these fish are launching out of the water. I'm talking 3 feet out of the water, like fully out of the water, like troutnado, dude, just smashing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, they're definitely hitting like full adult dry flies, right? Like, what are they eating? Like, I'm trying trust me, I got way more flies than someone who's been fly fishing for a month should have. And I'm trying this and I'm trying that and I'm trying this and I'm trying that. And like, I can't get them to hit my dry. And I'm like, what the hell? So then I'm at Orvis and I'm talking to Brian and Drew and they're like, he's like, they're hitting pupas. And I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense at all. Like, you know, and I'm like, I tell him, I'm like, listen, I don't know shit. I've been doing this for a month, but like I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, watching a lot of YouTube. I'm like, let me tell you what my mindset was on the water that day. They were fully coming out of the water. So from my lack of knowledge,
Done.
that means they're coming up smashing a dun. And they're like, if they're hitting a dun, you're just going to see their mouth come up and they're just going to sip it. Just grab it and go back down. He's like, they're hitting pupas. And they're coming up so fast to hit that pupa, like under the surface. They're not stopping. And they're going through that pupa and coming out of the water. And I'm like, I would have never have thought
Did
that.
you end up catching one?
What's that?
Did you catch one?
Yeah, I ended up catching one, but like I would have never. Now I know, but at the time, with the knowledge I had, I would have never thought that fish launching completely out of water was hitting pupas. I would have thought they were hitting duns or spinners or something like that, right? So I'm throwing spinners and duns and cripples, like trying to figure out what on the surface they're hitting, right. And they're like, no, they were hitting bugs 6 inches below the surface, but they were just coming at it so hard, they were hitting that bug and launching out of the water way after they ate it. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, all right, give me some pupas. I need some pupas for the box.
Give me some pupas in the box, bro. It
was cool.
Yeah. That's wild. It's a whole different world, man. It's crazy. I mean I'm obviously stuck on the whole nymphing thing. That's been like my thing is the Euro nymphing and like really diving into it. And I think one of the things for me is that it's made me fish different bodies of water or different areas of water than I've ever fished on a stream ever. Like I look at something totally different because I'm looking for faster moving water. Slow water is no good for me. Where like my whole entire life, what do you do when you come to a stream? You're looking for that big pool. You can't fish a big pool with tungsten nymphs. Because the water needs to be moving. You are moving that lure, and you're fishing those runs, those fast-moving runs. And literally, dude, it's the craziest thing, man. Like I can't even explain it half the time. You're watching that indicator, and your purpose in fishing is understanding. You drift through 2 or 3 times and understand what that bottom does, and then you tune it in. And once you tune it in to where that indication line is supposed to be on the top of the water, bro, it is like lights out. I cannot even like explain it to you. I could fish a fast-moving run, and know how that water moves after 3-4 drifts, and then literally lock and load on fish time and time and time again, and then understanding they're hitting the top one or the bottom one or whatever, and then understanding where I'm fishing in that column. Dude, it's crazy. And you watch, like, you come in that fast ripid and the water starts coming and your line catches up. Now you tighten up and the water, the line literally slows right down, and it just slowly moves through because your line is down in that strike zone where that water is moving slower than. Dude, it's dude, I've never dissected something like that when it comes to trout fishing alone. Like the rivers and understanding how they move and what they do. Like I would typically, like everybody else, would run up to a tail end of a pool and kind of fish the tail end of a pool, or you know what I'm saying, or that underbank when you're trying to do it this way, you are literally fishing that fast moving current. Dude, it's wild. Like I can't even explain it. It's just it's nuts.
There's something different to it when you're feeding the fish, right? Where like typically with a gear rod, I can just throw a lure wherever I want and just run it through wherever I want, and they're going to come out and chase it or whatever. But like when you're using the current of the water to get the whatever type of fly you're using to get it to where the fish are, it's way different because you're not getting it there in the air. You're getting it there upstream and letting the current take it to where you want it to be. And like one in particular that comes to mind is that rainbow I caught with you a couple weekends ago. Like I knew the second that fly hit the water, like because I had to get it way over on the far edge, and like right when it hit, I was like, that's the one. Like that is sitting. It landed where I needed it to land to get where I needed it to be, 20 feet downstream. And I knew as soon as it landed, I was like, that's the one. And just started drifting, and right where I thought it, wham! I'm like, bingo! Like that's the one.
It's nuts because like it's not in the fast moving water; it's on the edge of that fast moving water. Like I said, where that water starts to retain backwards, and that it starts to like slow, and them fish sit in there, and you're feeding into them. Dude, it's wild. I've definitely dissected and became a better reader of the water. Not the I don't know anything like that, but it's nuts, dude. And the more I dive into it, the more I want to do it, and I'm so mad that I really dove into it later on in the season. Like, I wish I was doing this before, but now I'm learning it, whatever. And then the fall comes, dude. I don't know. I mean, who knows? Like, I might just shoot a deer so I can go back to fly fishing. I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I'm tore up.
Use fly fishing for an excuse, huh? Set little foreshadow.
Foreshadow.
Oh, but you know what? You always get those warm days in October. One that comes to mind is I went goose hunting with Matt Weddish that one day. That was like getting into prime deer season. I'm like, dude, it's gonna be 80 degrees. Like, I might as well just go shoot some geese. Like, screw it, right? Like, there's better deer days coming.
Yeah.
Or you can also depending on how early in the season it is, like, a lot of people don't even hunt mornings early season. So, like, you could trout fish the morning and deer hunt the afternoon.
Yeah. I don't care. It is what it is, right? You just get after it. So, well, we might as well get Troy on here and talk about fishing more, because that's what we did with Troy, which is an unseen circumstance. Because that you guys are all waiting to hear him talk deer hunting and heavy arrows and all that.
And FOC and Ashby and...
Yeah, you can kick that thing right to the side. This boy's going to talk about punching through weed beds and chasing sea trout and snook and all those good things. We're going to put some theories to the test. So we appreciate you all coming on here, joining us. And until next week, we thank you. And we'll see you all then. The Outdoor Drive Podcast.
Oh, who was that? Was that Turtle Man? Live action. Who was that? Turtle Man?
That was Turtle Man, yeah.
Is Turtle Man dead?
That's what I was just going to ask. Was that Turtle Man that did that live action?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I heard he was dead.
I haven't seen anything from him in a while.
I don't think that he was dead.
I don't know. It'd be hard to get him on a podcast if he's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It would be awesome to get him on a podcast. That dude's a maniac. But I saw some post of him with a turtle. And somebody said, he's been dead for 4 years. What are y'all posting this for?
Really?
I was like, well.
I didn't think that he was dead. I mean, not like dead. Maybe just dead. But I don't think he was like dead.
He's only partially dead. Like the Princess Bride.
Yeah, exactly.
He's only mostly dead.
He's only
I've
mostly dead. All right. We got this thing working. I guess Instagram's not going to work, but we are back on the Outdoor Drive with the Ranch Fairy himself. How are we, buddy?
We are good. I fished 8 hours today. Jacked them pretty good. Got to go buy. I have to actually buy more baits because I used them, as opposed to buying lures that I think they'll eat, which is the normal course of action.
What is the choice bait to throw?
Currently, I'm on a grass lake with grass that's, I don't know, I've live scoped it, so you can get in 15 foot of water and the grass is 10 feet tall.
Whoa!
And when there's that much vegetation, it breaks off and mats up. Mm-hmm. So we just had some big storms down here, and the water went through the river. It's a river. It's a dammed up river. And it's about 200 yards wide and full of, grass, just eternal grass. It's like a freaking field underwater.
What are we fishing for? I was spaced out because I was looking to see if Turtle Man was still alive.
Yes. Is Turtle Man still alive? This was a debate beforehand.
I think he is.
He is not croaked.
I don't think so. So what are we fishing for?
We are fishing for the big mouth bass.
Okay. All right.
And we are fishing for a 10-pounder.
Johnny Billy Big Bass mouth.
Yeah, I don't mess around. I have I caught a 10.5 4 years ago, and I have not caught another one. I've caught a bunch of 7s and 8s, and I'm trying to figure them out. And just like big deer, which is y'all's deal, and we were talking about that big deer back there with the full length arrow that can barely hang on to the super wide spread there on the passenger side up there in the screen. No, that's the driver's side.
Depends what country you're
Like
in.
big deer get probably 3, and they're not the same animals. They're not. Like if you decide you're going to try to kill big deer, you can go out there and screw around and hope one wanders by, where you can try to be intentional about it. And the bass in this lake, and I think it's pretty common anywhere, 0 to 6 pounds in this particular lake, they're still kind of dumb. Like they do dumb things. And then when they get over 6, I honestly think I'm not fishing for them correctly. I think they're eating gizzard shad that are as big as your hand or bigger, and they're done, and you can't swim bait it. But so I'm trying to figure out how to catch upper level fish, and today I caught a bunch of damn dinks. But I did catch them punching. The girl ever punched with like 50 or 60 pound braid and a 1 ounce sinker, and you just throw it in the mat and it goes through the hole?
Yeah, do it a lot. Well, not anymore, but used to do it a lot in the lily pads. So like you would do it in the lily pads.
I think punching is the best bite in fishing. Like you pick that rod up and they just pull. Like I mean, they're just mad at it, right? You're like, yeah. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about punching, don't slackline them. Do not slackline them. Just lean and pull hard. If you slack them, you'll have all kind of problems.
So what do
That's my advice for today.
So what do you think that makes it like? What did you catch that 10-pound bass on?
Spring has passed, and so what I have chosen to do is I'm fishing out deep. So this lake gets hammered by kayaks. There's a lot of really simple access points. I don't have a big boat. We're getting ready to, I think I'm going to buy a boat. I don't want to buy a boat. I don't want to own a boat. I've got a little pontoon thing, plastic boat thing. I got
Like a
live scope
crawdad?
on it, trolling motor, and I've got a foot pedal on the thing so I can just stand up like a man and fish. And there are 8,000 guys in kayaks out there. And I call it ring around the rosy. Everybody's fishing within 40 yards of the bank. So I think those fish are, and it's very similar to Western big game hunting. If you've read an article about elk hunting, get a mile off the road and you're probably good. That is a damn fact. I can't believe it. Now we've got the extreme exercise guys right now that are going, and they go past a mile. So you got that mile to 5 miles is still yours. But I am currently fishing in 12 to 20 feet of water with a great big, like a 3/4 or 1 ounce jig. And I'm just literally, the water's super clear. I can see, and you'll see a mound of grass and I just pound it with that jig. And when I get them, there's a bunch of them, but I haven't found a big one yet. And it's just like big deer hunting. There are people out there who don't talk, don't do podcasts and stuff. They just kill big deer. And they're not doing what everybody's doing. So about a week and a half ago, I said, okay, well, within 30 yards of the bank is where they see wacky worms and lizards and freaking popping frogs and all that crap. Those fish they get tired of looking at them. I got 100 yards in the middle. I just hadn't figured them out.
Is there a time of the year, like if you were targeting the biggest, baddest fish, 10-pounder, with spawn and then post spawn, like the full circle of the year, is there a time? What time of the year are they the biggest?
Down here, it's February. So
pre-spawn?
Well, a guy caught a 14.4 out of the lake I'm fishing in February on a bed. That is a estuary of the lake that is warm. It doesn't vary. It stays about 65 all year. So that fish was just doing fish stuff based on the moon or whatever. And the lake I'm fishing doesn't get real cold. It's pretty constant temperature. The spawn in that lake is about 4 months.
Wow.
I saw fish on the bed in May, and I saw them in February. So February, March, April, May, yeah.
You
And
just
it's just that's when you get them. That's the rut.
you
And they get a little crazy and they get real territorial, and that's why you have a shot at them, right? But I want to catch a big summer fish. I don't like bed fishing.
no, I think bed fishing is cheating.
I just don't like the idea of it. It's the best way for a guy who doesn't have anything but a kayak and a paddle to catch a giant, but I really don't like bed fishing. And I probably caught I caught a couple of 7-pounders out of one particular mat this year. It might have been the same fish. I caught a fish that weighed 6'4" and 6'3" out of the same mat. I think he just ate a bigger shad the day before, 2 days apart. But that fish may have been spawning. I was not flipping a bed. I was just punching the mat. And it's super. But back to what you were saying about fishing. We don't have I don't even know if while you're deer hunting anymore you have time that's just time. I think I get a lot of views during deer season. My freaking views go through the goddamn roof. I think people sit out there with their earbuds on and go, I'm going to finally watch this idiot. You know, my views go through the freaking roof from September to December. And when I'm fishing, I put my phone on airplane mode and I am just rolling. And all of a sudden, 2 hours goes by.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it is. Because, I mean, the hunting public was just down. They shot 10 pigs. They freaking slammed them. And there's no time off during that. The first night, they shot one at 6:15, 7:05, 8 o'clock. And I was driving around like the ambulance. I didn't go to save any pigs. The meat wagon.
The meat wagon was picking up bodies.
All over the place, picking up pigs. It was pretty crazy. But, yeah, the fishing thing.
Hunting is not easy. It never has been. It takes dedication, motivation, a lot of patience, and quality gear. If you manage a food plot, put up stands, or need just one more game camera, we can help at MidwayUSA.com. We opened our doors in 1977 and continue to put customers first by offering super fast, same-day shipping. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com.
When you're separating from the military, no one tells you how hard it can be to get your civilian life up to speed. But with VA benefits, it doesn't have to be. From the VA home loan requiring no down payment, to the GI Bill covering tuition, books, and cost of living, to VA healthcare offering top-ranked, low-cost care designed specifically for veterans, all the support you need is at VA. I'm here telling every veteran because I wish someone had told me, get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
At Midway USA, we put customers first. The Nitro Express shipping system is icing on the cake. It was a big investment of time and money to take super fast, low-cost shipping to a whole new level. The Nitro Express helps ensure same-day shipping and low shipping costs. We hope you enjoy the Nitro Express. We built it just for you. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com.
I'm Larry Potterfield with Midway USA. Thanks for your business.
It might be the last mental escape outdoor activity. Snow skiing, you can probably do that because it's kind of hard to look at your phone while you're going downhill. But you would get on the lift and you see people looking at their phone. So I'm 55, 56, I think. God, I should know how old I am. I am valuing looking back in time before phones.
You know,
when we just went somewhere.
The thing is with fish, all right, when you're deer hunting, you're not supposed to be playing on your phone, but you can sit.
Well, it's not supposed to be. I can tell you what my views look like.
And you're not really moving, thumbing through social media, right? But, you know, when you have ADD, and I know we all have ADD, you don't have to admit
Everybody
it, but we
does.
When you're fishing,
it's a superpower.
You're actively using both hands. So you can't do this and do this at the same time. So it's like you got to choose one or the other. Put the phone away and pick up the rod, and now your hands are, doing the thing.
Well, the funny thing about punching too is, particularly flipping, you don't feel. I have not had but about 2 fish I've caught. I don't know, 100 bass in the last 2 weeks. I haven't had one where I felt there was no dunk. You either pick it up and they're there, or the line jumps. So when you're flipping that deep grass, you roll it out there, you just flip it 10 feet, and then you throw your rod in the air, and you throw a ton of slack to it. You want it dropping like a freaking bowling ball. Like, you don't want them to think. You don't want them looking at it. That's why you use a really heavy jig, and you zip it by them. And I use white braid so I can see it. And it's just sitting on top of the water, and you can see it going down, and all of a sudden you'll see the line go, or it'll stop. So like after about 10 flips, you kind of know how fast it should get to the bottom.
So they're hitting it on the fall.
They'll just grab it out of the water.
On the fall.
Yeah.
Out of reaction.
They're good. They don't have to swim around. Like, they got it. Right? And then sometimes you just go, I don't know, man. You pull like this, and all of a sudden you're like, ah! But I haven't. It's the same thing on live scope. And that's a big topic, right?
It's cheating.
I've caught a ton of fish scoping, shaking them in the whole 9 yards. Look at them, throw to them. I've not felt one hit the lure. I'm watching them. They close the distance, and you can actually see them on those little bitty minnows. What do they need to do? They just go grab it. It's not you don't need to go 10 feet to eat the damn thing. Just grab it. And a guide on OH Ivy, a friend of mine named Caden Cowan, who's a hell of a guide out there, he told me, you've got to learn when they eat it, because you're never going to feel them. And with all the debates around the live scope thing, which is really hard, by the way, and a very frustrating tool because you see all the fish you don't catch, the good guys are setting the hook on fish that have it, but they've never felt a thing. They see them eat it, like they're watching them. And he told me, he said, if I tell you to set the hook, set the hook. Don't think. I was like, no shit. He goes, yeah, they'll grab it and blow it out. I was just like, that's crazy.
That's like, for us, that's like winter fishing here. Like, they're super lethargic. You can't, you're like slow rolling a bait on like a 1/4 ounce jig head on a finesse fish or whatever. And the fish are super lethargic, and you can't even feel them. The bait stops, and then it's just it. Like, it's either there or it's not, and you're setting hooks on blank nothing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just it's a little bit crazy.
I've learned so much about fish eating baits on live scope. I've never had a fish attack one from the front. They always come from beneath it or behind it.
Really? Because the known thing with a largemouth is that, or say even striped bass, is they'll grab the bait, they'll take off a tiny bit, they'll stop, turn the bait in their face. Like if you're using big like gizzard shads or
if you're
Menhaden
using
or
big baits. But I mean, when you're shaking that minnow, they're 2 inches long. It's a shad. They just go whoop. It's like they do that. Yeah. They do it every day. Right?
But they always want those big baits head first for some reason.
I've thrown big jerk baits, and I've never had one hit the head. They eat the head, but they're hitting it from behind or quartering on. Like they're like a quartering 2-shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They come from that angle and below, and they go to the head, but they don't grab the back. It'll shoot out. I mean, they got to grab the front, right? Naturally occurring feeding. And I just want to figure out the big ones, man.
Are you into that whole swim bait world where like super big bait type?
You can't throw them in the lake I'm fishing.
Right, because you're fishing weeds, right? So that's not an option.
You can do it in the winter when the grass goes down about 3 or 4 feet. You can fish over the top of it, and I see the big swim bait guys out. Hey, I want to tell you something. This will relate to archery. Neither one of you guys are a trad guy, right? Because I'm about to insult everybody if you're a trad guy.
You can insult anybody you want. You're right to your own opinion. Welcome to America.
I will. We all know we've been to the 3D tournaments where the trad guys are kind of like, heretofore. Look at those losers with their training wheels over there, not doing it the old way like Fredbear. And they got their freaking uppity nose. The swim bait guys are the same assholes. They're the same guys.
How
You'll be
so?
out there flipping around with a jig, and the guy comes by in his little whatever. He's in a kayak in the lake I'm fishing. There's not a lot of bass boats, like big glitter boats or whatever. It's hard to access, and you can't run a big motor on the lake. There are some guys who do it, but not many. So there's either what I'm fishing in, or some variation thereof, and they come by with their swim bait that looks like it's 7 feet long, and they look at you like, oh. Look at that barbarian over there fishing with a goddamn jig. He's an idiot. So they're the same guys. And if you're a swim bait guy, you might be that guy. I just know that I've had the look like, oh, unevolved. Look at that unevolved freaking man over there. Hardly has a penis. So the swim bait guys are really funny. I like the commitment.
Is that the same with the guys that are live scoping?
No. The live scope guys are it's just a bunch of BS. I listen to Rick Clunn. You know who that is? He's 80 years old, 5 decades on the Bass Tour, 4 classics, and like 139 wins. He's one of the old guys, right? He said something on a podcast. I love he really is a deep philosophical thinker, and he said there's no limit to knowledge. He said all that thing is doing is telling us we weren't fishing for 80% of the fish. They're out there floating, or they're in the middle, or they're on shad balls or whatever. He said it's just another tool to teach you. And then he made the point, in a roundabout way, everybody's got it on the tour where it's legal and used. Like there's a tour that doesn't have it, and they have one with periods where you can use it, but they've all got it. There's just some guys who are next level
can use
getting that fish lined up in the scope, and kind of to my bailiwick of maximum lethality arrows. Maximum lethality hunting arrows, right? That's kind of my thing. Those guys understand. No, they are more open-minded than the old guys. There isn't a lure you don't throw at a fish on a live scope. Time of year doesn't matter. They've got a jerkbait, a crankbait, a topwater. They got a freaking jig. They've got the swimming worm. They got a little shaking minnow, and they throw everything at them. They just everything's out of the box.
Yeah, because you're feeding them what they want.
You try to figure out what they want, and you can keep throwing at them. Like you throw at them, they don't do anything. You throw something else out there
until they bite it.
Is that?
And I'm old enough that I'm kind of setting my ways. Hey, man, it's spring. You're supposed to be. The kids that are 25 that doesn't apply.
It's not a thing.
There it is. It's right there.
Does that change fish to fish for those guys? So, like, say you're live scoping and you're throwing everything you got on the box at him, and then finally he eats whatever, insert whatever you throw at him, and that fish eats. Do they typically find that the next fish is going to eat the same thing, or is it starting all over with everything?
I think so. I think they're trying. They generally find a pattern. You also have to realize they throw it 20 and catch 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Everybody thinks it's just like automatic. It's unbelievable how many fish you can, when you use really live scope, you can, like I was fishing another lake I'm going to fish in the spring for crappie, and the crappie are real round. Like when you see them floating, like a bass is longer. The live scope's that good. The big ones, you can see the tail swimming. Like it's ridiculous. And you'll throw it 15 of them, and the bass will come up and swim off, come up and swim off, come up. And they may not be in the mood or whatever, and you go back through them and 2 hours later. But like the kid who won the Classic this year, Easton Fothergill, he was catching them on a wacky worm, and he changed the weight from an 1/8 to a 32nd in the nose of the bait, Nico rig, and that was the difference.
Just the fall for the for reaction.
He just kept messing with them.
Mm-hmm. They got to eat.
It's like it's an open mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not fighting with the fish. They don't fight with them. Like my lake is super clear, 10-foot visibility, easy. I know I can see 10 feet in the water because I have a live scope. They eat June bug, which is purple with blue glitter or green glitter in it.
During the day?
During the day.
That's against all bass fishing rules.
Every bass fishing rule. I ain't arguing with them, dude.
But it eats.
They eat June bug, and I don't know why.
You think that it's a color thing? Because that's a whole other thing, and I think a lot of people don't understand is the color that we see is a different color of what they see, and as it starts
100%.
to fall, it's the same. So that Roy G. Biv, it starts to lose it every increment. So say it's 5 feet,
That's
that
correct.
color changes, another 5 feet, it changes, another 5 feet, it changes.
Right.
So by the time they see it, it might be blue at the surface, but it might be fucking chartreuse at the bottom.
Who knows what it looks like to them at the bottom,
Correct.
Right? And then in the mats, I don't think it matters.
It's so dark
In fact,
anyways.
I'm getting ready to start throwing dark. Today I was catching them on green pumpkin with a blue on it, blue crawl. And I'm going to throw black.
So
like
that probably makes...
It's dark.
Yeah, it's
It's
dark.
a matte. Like it's this thing. You can't get through it in some spots.
Right.
We're not just punching like paper. You rolled it up there and nothing happened. It just sits on top and you pull, and it goes through. You know it's dark under there.
Yeah, and they're seeing the silhouette of those colors that then make
100%, right? 100%. But I'm gonna go back onto the arrow thing. This just kind of came across through my small brain. But the kids who are scoping and their open minds is kind of the equivalent of, what if all this heavy arrow, adult broadheads, hand sharpening, air shafting might help. What if? What if everything you were taught and you never tried is something different? And that's my whole life. My whole goddamn personality goes.
Well, I think on the larger scale, it's kind of crazy. It's like, we believe one thing, right? We believe that Christopher Columbus came here and hit a rock in Massachusetts, but who's to know that that's actually the truth? But we've lived by that, right? I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the Pilgrims landed in Massachusetts.
Yeah, whatever.
On a rock.
But you get the point of what I'm saying.
Yeah. Columbus came in on the Indies.
It's whatever.
But close enough. We
It sounded
understand
smart.
Santa Pinta Maria.
In other words, there were probably some dudes and dudettes before that.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're in so belief of that's what the right thing to do. Like you just said, you're throwing June bug in the middle of the day in the summer. That's totally false. Why would you do that?
I'm not arguing with them.
It's the same thing in my world, right? In the striped bass world, they say that you eel fish at night and you bait fish during the day, right? So you fish, but I've caught more 40 and 50 pound striped bass during the day with eels.
No kidding.
Swear to God, I'm telling
don't
you right
argue
now.
with them.
Why?
Don't argue with the fish. You can argue with the fisherman.
Well, we boat 40 to 50 fish on a trip with all live eels during the middle of the day. I don't care what it is. The faster the moon tide, the bigger the fish.
That's awesome. And they say you're fishing with live bait, and they say don't throw it during the day.
You don't throw eels during the day. Yeah, they say eels is a night fishing thing in our striped bass world.
Good. Then tell everybody that's the facts, and just keep doing what you're doing. Screw them.
Well, it's the truth. I mean, it's the same with you throwing June bug in the middle of the day.
It doesn't make any sense. I mostly throw green stuff, but they eat June bug. And they will eat June bug. They love June bug, particularly in the springtime, but they're still eating it now. And that makes no sense whatsoever.
Do you feel as if the moon has a big effect on what you got going on every day to day?
The moon has an effect on the deer,
women,
the fish, all that stuff. And during this time of year, the bluegill spawn repeatedly. To your question about what's the best time of year to catch a big one, one of the reasons why the early winter, late winter for January, February is good is because the food is down. So the water hits a certain temperature, the bluegill and the shad stop spawning. It's a finite supply. The crawdads go in the mud and hibernate. And the bass still eat. So there's a limited amount of food. It's much like deer hunting in the late winter.
Right.
The best time to kill a great big deer in Texas, because we throw corn and feed roads, is after the rut in the dead of winter in South Texas.
When they're feeding.
Yeah, okay. So, all right. I would look at it a little different here, like not feeding, not baiting, and like all natural, we'll call it, right?
For sure.
A buck is going to be at his prime weight right before the rut. Once the rut starts, he's going to go downhill, chasing, losing weight, not eating. Then he comes into winter, tries to pack it back on, and then the cycle starts over. So, like, right before the rut is when he's going to weigh his most.
Yep.
So that's why I didn't know if there was the same time frame.
It's kind of the same thing with bass.
Right.
And they also put on eggs and
Once
stuff.
they start spawning, they eat a little they're sitting on nests and stuff, right? So they pack.
But it isn't very long.
Right.
And the bluegills spawn on the moon. We just had a big moon. And the bluegill spawn, and I think the bass are doing something I don't understand with the bluegills.
What moon do they spawn on? Full moon?
Usually on the full.
Okay.
You'll see the full moon coming, and you'll start to see beds. And I need to fish around them more. Much like you said about, I would assume it's a good time to kill the deer. It's the same analogy there then. After the rut, they're wore out, and there's not a lot of food, so they got to move. So you're very likely to catch one trying to stay alive.
Right.
Like he's got to move around to stay alive.
Right.
And we've always had way better luck killing deer late in the season than we have early. Even if you're not feeding, they're just moving.
Off the rut and back on the food.
Absolutely.
That postseason.
Yeah. And it's just
it seems
it's a fascinating.
It's
a fascinating game. When we started talking about the mental detachment, you're just doing one damn thing. You and the fish are competing. I don't worry about all the people, the dock talk, and all the other kayakers and all that crap. I don't give a shit what they're doing. I'm trying to fool a fish with something that ain't real. And then when we're deer hunting, we're trying to overcome like all of these things. We're going into their bedroom, trying not to stink the place up, trying not to make a bunch of noise. Hope to God, do y'all hunt public or private?
Public.
Yeah, so you're hoping somebody isn't late and come tromping through, and that's where the imagination things comes up. That's what Caden told me. He said I said, what makes the best live scoper? And he said they have imagination. They have no box. They see it and they're trying to figure it out. And that's where I think getting back to the archery thing, because I do want to talk about that a little bit.
I just got a question though before you go off. Is that a 6 mil?
Yeah.
Is that a 6 mil Zinni or 3?
Zins?
Yeah.
3. That's right. Blowing through them.
Yeah.
Well, I chew tobacco while I'm fishing. Spit off the side of the boat. I got the 3s. I got the weenie size.
Okay. I just had to ask.
Yeah, right. And tea.
Yep.
And I just drank a cup of coffee, so I'm good.
Yeah.
But coffee on me doesn't work the same as everybody else.
Same.
Coffee just.
We run on caffeine, nicotine, and hate.
That's it.
Yeah, and hate.
Hate.
I like that.
Big hate. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I drink so much coffee. People are like, how do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. You go like this, pour it in your face. And
Right
burn
before
around.
bed. Right before bed. I have a glass right before bed. It doesn't matter.
I have my wife's best friend. My wife's best friend's wife is a clinical psychologist for children with special learning disabilities that aren't necessarily something that's like really hard. Like they're me.
Same.
School didn't
Same.
jive with Troy.
Same.
Right. And she said, she said, I don't charge for this, but I have a lot of people who think their kids have ADD. So I tell them, here's what you do. Give them a Coke and their homework and see what happens. And she said, they come back 2 weeks later and said, they do their homework. And she's like, right. It don't work the same on those people.
No.
I don't know what it is, but I got to bring some hate. I'm not really a hater, though. So I get a lot of hate, but I don't,
We just hate the animals. We hate the
Yeah,
deer.
like you got to get mad at the fish.
I'm mad at the fish.
Little
I
Nick,
take it out on them.
couple Zins, a cup of coffee, and just get mad at them.
I lean on them with an extra heavy 5-aught and just try to break their face. Oh!
That's hate. That's hate. You just don't know it, but it's hate.
Yeah, right. I hate the small ones. I just want the big ones to bite, and I hate them for being so cantankerously weird.
Do you know something else that we say too, though? Like, we're going with them swim baits, and you're talking about small fish and stuff. But you have to think too is elephants eat peanuts. That's what we say in the fishing world. Elephants eat peanuts.
I caught my 10.5 on a tube.
I'm saying.
There you go.
Saying.
And I went from right before the dumbest time in history ever. And by the way, during the dumbest time in history ever, I just went by all the stupid barriers and went fishing anyway.
It's so funny. I know exactly what time you're talking about.
Can't say that word, They're not engineering our speech or anything, but you can't say the word, but you can say the dumbest time ever in history.
Before the dumbest time in history.
Dude, I fished so much. My real job, they said, due to the dumbest time in history, you can't travel. And I was like, oh, you are freaking kidding me. Can't travel. Well, start ordering baits. Here we go. I fished and I learned to wakeboard. I learned to wake skate. We had a blast during the dumbest time in history. But I don't know what part of the country. I mean, I know kind of generally what happened up there, but I live in a free country down here.
Yeah, it's not a free country up here. No,
I didn't wear a mask. I walked around. The sign said, we suggest you wear a mask. I was like, okay. You suggest I wear a mask.
People were getting arrested up here during the dumbest time ever in history.
You are kidding.
For not wearing a mask.
I did get a Joe Exotic mask. It had his mouth and his beard.
I can see that.
And I did wear that with a wig. And the best thing I ever did, every winter, every Thanksgiving, I put up the Christmas lights for the neighborhood. I ran out of lights. It is Black Friday. Okay, we have Thanksgiving, and then that weekend I put the lights out. I'm out of lights or whatever. I got my welding helmet, and I took the lens out. And I put on sunglasses, and I walked my ass into Walmart. And you could see all these old dudes giving me the friggin' thumbs up because of my welding helmet. Now, here's the deal. I did two things. I did one thing that was highly illegal. I bought ammo with a mask on.
Ooh, yeah.
I went up there. I don't need ammunition. I got shitloads of ammunition. But I said, let's see. And I walked up to the Walmart counter and I said, I want a box of these double loads right here. Kept my mask on. Welding helmet, mind you. They sold me the shotgun shells. And I walked around, and then I went up to the counter to pay, and the lady said, I can't understand you. And I said, because it was reverberating off the mask. So I lifted it up. I said, yeah, whatever. Da, da, da. She goes, okay. And I went, and pulled it back down. I was crying walking through there. Kids are like, the hell was that guy doing? Had a mask on. Didn't say what it was.
They're still robbing.
But during the dumbest time in history, I decided I was going to catch a 10-pound bass. It took me 3 years.
Shoo.
And I haven't caught another one since. I went up to 8 and then went straight to 10.5. I figured it'd walk up a little better than that. And I've caught a bunch. I'm back where I was. A bunch of 7s, mid 7s. So I keep catching those pretty regular. And then one of these days, I'm going to jack the big one, but I did catch it on a 4-inch tube.
Weighted or unweighted?
Weighted. I was Texas rigging it.
Yeah. Oh, Texas rigging. Okay.
I was flipping it in grass. And thank God I put braid. I wasn't much on the braid thing at that time. I didn't understand how to flip grass and why you use braid because it cuts through the grass and all that good stuff. It's not the nose stretch as much as it. Well, you get 50-pound braid, you can pull them out. But I was in a lake with 7 other kayaks, and it was about 10 acres. And 2 or 3 of the guys and the mayor was there. By the way, at every small lake, there's a mayor. There's some guy who's there all the time. And I talk a lot, but, they talk like annoyingly a lot, like just rabble the whole time. But they're usually stuck on the bank, but they're the mayor. Like they're there all the time. I hooked that fish and she pulled like hard. And I was like, okay. I get her out of the grass. She goes by the boat and I look down and go, oh my. Like the tail's as big as my hand. She starts pulling drag, goes straight into the grass. When I pulled her up, I literally grabbed half a laundry basket of grass and I saw the tail and I just grabbed all of it and threw it in the boat. And everybody fishing around me was like, oh, that dude snug a log or something. Not a single person on that lake knew I caught that fish.
Good.
I didn't scream or holler or nothing.
Good.
I laid her in the boat. I pulled all the grass off her and I just went, oh my God, that's her. That's the one. And that size of a largemouth bass is a different animal, much like, upgrading to elk or going to Africa where everything's 800 pounds or 700 pounds. It's just a different target, right? Mouth was, she was hooked in the top of the mouth right in front of the throat. I stuck my whole hand in there and there was room to wobble around. Popped it out and I took a really crappy picture and I hung her on the scale, pulled her tail out of the water and she weighed 10.5. I took a picture of the screen and dropped her in the water. I wasn't going to kill her. I see people all the time with 5-pounders at the lake I'm fishing and they keep those fish out of the water for minutes. Hey, news flash to everybody here. They can't breathe. It's a real straightforward algorithm here. If you have a net, put the net in the water, put the fish in the net, stand on the handle, keep them wet, get over yourself, Instagram all your friends, get a live feed going, update your damned Twitter account and your Tinder, and then take your damn pictures and put the fish back in the water. But it's once again, back to kind of the more I play with the arrow thing, it's a lethality question now. I'm the heavy arrow guy, heavy versus light, and all this bullshit. It is a maximum lethality arrow platform. And if you're going to fish for those upper class fish, you can't be screwing around with a 1/0 gold Aberdeen hook. You're never going to catch them.
No.
Even the hooks and them shaking minnows that them boys are throwing, they got a little ass to them.
See, I think you just brought up a really valid point, and I think that's one thing. Like, there's the difference. It's the difference in chasing mature whitetails and killing deer. It's the difference in catching fish and chasing monsters. It's the different. There's a gear specification between the two of them. Like, I bust balls with some of the guys on the team here, and they all use ugly sticks, and they kind of, we all go back and forth on this. But in all reality, there's different graphites in every single rod. Like, there's different sensitivity in different rods. It's the same as going monofilament to braid, where you're direct in contact of setting the hook and feeling the bite. There's, using different baits, special hooks. Like, there's a lot of that stuff that's super important when you're targeting these big fish or trying to put yourself in the predicament. It's the same as monofilament to fluorocarbon. And a lot of people don't realize it. They say, why do I got to spend? It's an extra $5 to $7 for a spool of fluorocarbon over monofilament.
Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit fishingbooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
Midway USA has traditional cap and ball revolvers and accessories, along with the most modern inline muzzle-loading rifles. Cowboy action shooters and other fans of traditional black powder shooting will find a great selection of fully functioning replica Old West Army and Navy revolvers, plus all the necessary materials to help them go bang, like percussion caps, loaders, patches and wads, and round balls too. We carry a full line of inline rifles, as well as 209 primers, black powder substitutes, and bullets and sabots. For just about everything for black powder, shop midwayusa.com.
And monofilament over fluorocarbon. So monofilament has that it's like a hexagon.
Troy's playing Tetris.
Yeah, Troy's playing Tetris.
No, I got a call and I disappeared for a second. I'm sorry.
You're swiping right on Tinder?
Yeah, I am. Hit. I've been married for 33 years.
He's buying fishing rods off Temu while we're at it.
No, but so what do you think about the line debate?
Line. We could. This is an argument that we can go on for hours because line debate, monofilament to fluorocarbon. There's a huge difference, and the difference is this: monofilament is. Think of it like this: monofilament is built in a hexagon shape, okay, and monofilament is built in a cylinder shape. Another zinni going down. And what happens is when light hits a monofilament, it's like that. You know that old crystal that your grandmother had in the window
that I smoke every evening.
Prism.
Prism. It's a prism.
And the light hits it, and then it bounces all throughout the room. That's how monofilament is made. Fluorocarbon is made in a cylinder. So what happens is when light hits it, it bounces through it. So that's when it's in the water and the light hits it, it just goes through it and it becomes virtually invincible. So
I have a friend who is a tree climber. He goes what he calls himself. He's a arborist. He lives in the Pacific Northwest, so he takes down some big ass trees, right? And he has a spec on his ropes for how many cycles they use them, and they throw them in the trash, or they use them for, whatever. But nobody's climbing with that rope after 500 climbs or whatever. And he calls it cycles to failure. And I have had issues with fluorocarbon breaking on me. I don't know why.
Is it breaking at the knot? Is it breaking mid-strand? No. Is it? What is the?
It's breaking, like especially as leader material.
Huh.
And I have not had the same thing with mono. And I was talking to Chris about that, and he said maybe mono stretches back because when you stretch like steel cable, it doesn't really go back.
Right.
It stretches and then it flexes back, but it doesn't go back.
So they say that fluorocarbon is actually stronger than monofilament the way that it's woven and made.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't fish with it.
Really?
All my saltwater leader material is monofilament, and I fish with mono when I'm cranking stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I'm throwing spinner baits and stuff like that, I use mono. You're tight on them. They're not going. And I love fighting them on mono. You got them. It stretches so much that I hardly ever lose fish on mono. I mean, you got them. But when I saltwater fish, because of the wind, I use braid because it's always blowing. There's always a bow in your line.
And are you using a leader, like a monofilament leader on it?
I use a 15-pound monofilament leader for trout and stuff, and I use 35 or 40 for snook. Because they'll cut your line up real bad. But trout and redfish aren't real hard on them. And I'm not sure that the leader makes a difference as far as the fish seeing it. But a 10-foot leader when the fish is 5 feet from you of monofilament, it's got a lot of stretch and the bras bending. and you don't break off as many fish or rip it out. Like a speckled trout, which is the big deal down here, has a really soft mouth. Y'all have weak fish up there.
Yeah.
And their mouths are real soft. So you'll get one in front of you. We're wade fish. You'll have one. You'll be knee deep, whatever, and he'll be right in front of you, and 4 pounds or 5, and he's shaking like crazy, and it's just tearing his face up.
Right.
And the monofilament seems to with the rod.
So we use like 5 to 6 foot, leader. So I'm a fluoro guy, but we use that leader because a lot of the times, a lot of the fish that we fish for, whether blackfish, flounder, striped bass, whatever the case may be, they live in structures. So when you're fishing those fish and they get in that structure, that monofilament or fluorocarbon, its abrasion is way more. Like if you took
way better than braid.
If you took braid and you hit it with a pair of scissors, it's going to break instantly. If you have monofilament or you have a fluorocarbon, you can run the scissors down at 4, 5, 6 times and it will peel back, but it's not going to break. Where you can get that fish out of the rocks, change the leader on another fish, and you just pay attention to it because the abrasion is not as much. There's a lot of times why I use it.
Then this flipping thing I'm doing in this deep grass, I'm going straight braid. Right. I'm throwing white braid. I actually watched some videos on what's the most visible line underwater, and the guy was in the Keys, and pink and white were the least visible. And I never thought about it. The sky is freaking white. If you've ever been underwater and looked up, the sky, the fish are down in the grass watching it come, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the time it gets to them, they've already figured out what's going on, like what they're going to do. I was like, holy smokes. He was in the Florida Keys laying down in 10 foot of water looking up, and the green and the blue and stuff were just obvious as hell. And white and pink were basically non-existent.
Are those the first to lose their color?
No, white doesn't lose its color. It doesn't
I
have
guess
any color.
white. No, because white. Yeah, you're right. Huh? Because violet's the first one to go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean underwater?
Yeah, underwater.
This goes back to what you said about fish.
Yeah.
I think it was one of you guys said it. Depends on you said it. It depends on what the fish see.
Yeah.
That's just a human.
That's human eyes, right? Exactly. Right.
Well, let's talk hunting. I got to ask you, what do y'all do? Are y'all doing anything cool this year? Because I'm not. I want to fish.
I know Steve already did. Steve already killed the big bear already.
I stay doing cool shit.
What are you going to do that's cool this fall? I mean, you killed a big bear.
Yep. I'm going to kill a giant buck this year, for sure.
He's going moose hunting, dude.
My dad is. I'm going with him.
He's going with him, but he's going moose hunting.
September.
Yeah.
That's always a lot of fun. I've been Western hunting more as a stupid guy who will go in a hellhole with you and get an elk out, or sit behind the glass and glass for hours on end and laugh and talk about quotes from Smokey and the Bandit and Airplane and, that kind of stuff. Got to be entertaining or whatever.
I'm for sure could recite every line of Smokey and the Bandit word for word.
God, that movie is fantastic.
Jackie Gleason is a genius.
Jackie Gleason is
the goddamn Germans ain't got nothing to do with
it. Who you chasing? Somebody chasing you? Nobody chasing me, boy. The guy's a goddamn maniac. He's got a wolf rod with him. That's a felony. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What does he say when he kicks those kids in the ass? He pulls some kids over that's an attitude adjustment.
Yeah.
Now, I want y'all to sit right here and wait.
And don't play with yourself.
Yeah, don't play with yourself.
you can think about it, but don't do it.
Oh my God, that Blazing Saddles. One of my friends is the Blazing Saddles. I mean, that movie nowadays is only 8 minutes long, but I probably need to buy a copy just because it's going to be gone one of these days. Blazing Saddles is going to be gone.
Yeah.
I mean, Blazing Saddles, Everybody gets it in Blazing Saddles. The town is all the white people, and they're inbred. They're all the same last name.
Right.
It's all the Johnsons. Everything. Right? Black guys are this. The Chinamen are that. Everybody gets it.
Yep.
Oh. Do you know Richard Pryor was cast for that role as the sheriff? And apparently somebody was getting ready. They were getting ready to do the movie. They wanted Richard Pryor. They called Richard Pryor and said, "Hey, man, we got a movie we want you to be on. Where are you?" And he goes, "I don't know, man. I'm with Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I don't know where I'm at." He didn't have Instagram, apparently.
No.
He wasn't busy on his phone. He was doing fine out there.
Living life. I think it's how the upcoming season's going to be. We just kind of go with the flow. I'm going to the Midwest somewhere, probably Ohio. We'll see.
Will that just be straight public, no draws and all that stuff?
No. So you just go out there and buy a tag, man. I haven't been out there in 3 years, but before that I went out 3 years in a row, and just random get out there and go. What?
Are you the kind of dumbass that changes locations every time? Because we do that in the West. I keep telling my buddy, I'm like, why? Maybe we should go back to the same unit because we already jacked around and pulled 9 hamstrings, and we kind of know where to start. Nah, we're going over here. Sweet.
Yep.
Let's do that and start over again.
So this is what I do, right? This is what I do, Troy. I go to a random place that I've e-scouted, and I go out there and I hunt out there. I'm unsuccessful, so I drive 6 hours across the state to go hunt where I already hunted, where I should have already been for 4 days.
Okay,
yep,
good.
That's
then
what
you're
I do.
just like me.
Yep.
That's just fine. That's outstanding.
I thought that's how you're supposed to do it.
He said, "Junior, when I get home, I'm going to smack your mama."
I'm going to smack your mama in the mouth. Oh, my God, that's beautiful. Oh, that movie. I need to watch it in the end. I just get the clips like when you get, how the Instagram thing doubles you up. I've got funny baby stuff and cat stuff for my daughter. My daughter's 30 years old.
And then Buford
baby stuff. Yeah, the baby stuff we share back and forth. Babies shitting up their back and all kind of puking in their mom's mouth and all that. And then I get tons of Blazing Saddles and Smoking the Bandit. I mean, all the time. My feed on Instagram is just hilarious. It's just everything's funny because that's what I like to watch. I don't get all the depressing stuff that isn't going on in the world.
Troy, I got a quick question for you, man. What this whole snook fishing thing, man? This got me kind of curious. It's something that's always been on the bucket list of mine. What is the series of events that you do while you're snook fishing? Like what puts you into a successful snook fish?
You got to go where they're at. That seems obvious, and I don't want to be a smart ass, but in Texas, you got to go to deep South Texas.
Okay.
They're starting to move north, and you got to go fish for them. And what I mean by that is, from what I understand, and I fished in the Everglades for them, and I'm going back in October with the current world record holder for snook on the whole planet for like 40 inchers, big ones. The snook down here are 25 to 35. If you get over 35, you got a whale down here in Texas. But they're tidal feeders.
Okay.
So when the snook fishing only snook trips that I've been on, you go out before the tide. You look for a day when the tide's going to turn twice. You go in the summer. That's when you can weight them up. And the day's long enough that you usually get 2 tide turns. And you literally go out. Ideally, the dates of the guide that I use down there sets up for me is usually a morning and an evening tide. And we come in at like 10, tide stops. We take a shower. We take a nap. We go into town and eat Mexican food like a proper human. Might chip off the old turd or 9 foot, whatever you got left in there. And then we go back out. And that's the same in the Everglades, but the place I go in the Everglades, that town, it's not a town. It's an hour to Walmart. It's nowhere. The first time I went, I was like, oh shit, I'm eating gas station food the whole time. Like I had nothing. I was like, yeah, I'll just go to Walmart. I was like, where's the Walmart? He's like, what's an hour? I was like, sweet. Now that's my kind of town,
Now,
but there's no people.
now are you fishing them like back in like the mangroves, like in the tributaries? You're not like out off the beaches. You're back in the brush.
No, we're back in. We actually wade for them in the Everglades with Ward. There's only 3 guys who wade fish for them in the Everglades, and it's because of the sharks. So if you're scared of sharks between 8 and 10, 12 feet, then you need to not be wade fishing out there.
Bull sharks, what are they?
Yeah, mostly bulls.
Yeah, which are super
And they'll swim
aggressive.
right. I mean, they swim right by you.
Yeah, they're
like
super
they're just doing
aggressive.
shark stuff.
Yeah.
Like they're not after you.
No.
I had one. The first snook I hooked with Ward, of all things, I was throwing a rattle trap. He said, just reel it as fast as you can. They love that thing. I was like, okay. I'm about pecker deep, firing into this. You could see this obvious eddy because the current was really ripping. And we're out on the edge, like we're out towards the Gulf. And he said, just look for sharks. And he said, if you hook one, go to the bank. Do not land them in the water because the sharks don't know. And they'll follow your fish right up to you and bite your ass trying to eat the snook.
Ah.
And I said, okay. And I'm dong, right? And this snook, they said it was a 3-footer. Comes out of the water and does a cartwheel, hits the water and starts ripping drag. And I start going to the bank. Like I'm literally going like this. I'm not scared of sharks. It's just I'll take his advice. I need to get to the bank.
Right.
I get my feet I get about ankle deep on the bank. I say, I'm probably okay. And I reel in the head. The shark ate 25 inches of that snook, and I didn't feel anything.
Do the shark put a damper on the bite? Like they slow down the bite so that the bite's not as strong as it should be?
I've seen porpoises do it, but I've not seen the sharks.
So it's something that's been super, it's kind of new to us up here, but it's something that's definitely been seriously taking a place where like the big striped bass, like we would get in the schools of them on the side imaging and you cast into them and them fish literally will shut down and you're like, why do they shut down? And then you finally catch one and then it gets eaten by a shark. And like,
no kidding.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like we, probably 5 years ago, we didn't have sharks up here like this. So they're sandbar sharks and they literally are brown sharks, and they literally, we would never see them or have a problem with them. But now in the past like 3 years, it's so bad that like we would lose 4 or 5 fish a trip. And it would be to the point that like it literally shuts down the fishing. Like the fish, you'll see them by the hundreds on the side imaging, and you cast up in them, and they're just completely not eating anything. I don't care what.
Well, you know what Troy Fowler does in this situation?
What do you do?
He gets a wide 6-aught with 80-pound braid, and he flips a bait out there, and he hooks a brown shark for fun. That used to be. That was my first surf fishing thing. It's a young man's game, but there's a place called the Padre Island National Seashore down here. It's a federal park. It's 63 miles of sand. Like you get on the sand and you can go 60 miles and go all the way to this place called Port Mansfield. It's a really cool place. And when I was young and spry, sharks were the thing.
Oh, you were one of those beach goers that would shark fish.
Oh, yeah. We caught some tigers and bulls and lots of black tips. And you get in a kayak, put the bait in the back because it's as big as your thigh.
Mm-hmm.
You paddle it out there and you drop it by hand, and then the guy on the beach tightens it up. And then it becomes like brisket making. It becomes a beer drinking game.
Ah.
And you sit in the shade and you got your chair and the wind's blowing and you're waiting. And you have no idea what's going to happen when the rods go off. You don't know if it's going to be a 6-footer or, when we caught my tiger, the one tiger I did catch, we hooked 2 fish. And at that time, our leaders were 10 feet long and my buddies got tail whipped. So it was longer than 10 feet. Wow. And the monofilament was way back in the day before braid. The monofilament felt like somebody had sanded it. So the tail was just back there. He was longer than 10 feet long, beating them, and eventually broke off after half an hour.
Wow.
And mine was 9'6". So he was inside the leader. And it's a sporty event. So we're only fished with 50-pound mono because we needed distance for them to swim, like take drag.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
fought the fish for like an hour and 20 minutes. He comes up right on the beach in front of us. Somebody's got to go out there and rope his tail. So you get out there waist deep with a shark and you let them swim right in front of you. Put the line over your head. And then when his tail comes, you rope him and pull his tail out of the water so he can't move himself. And you better hang on to that. They will knock you down. Put it over your shoulder and slide him up on the beach. And we actually revived it. Took a pair of bolt cutters and cut the hook off. He was hooked just, in the mouth. And I took him out. And I had that shark. I had the dorsal in my right hand, the tail over my shoulder. I pushed her for 10 minutes before she swam off. And I was like as deep as chest deep with her. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. It was a cool experience. It was so cool.
That's the big thing now. A lot of guys are doing it, man. They're doing it with drones and dropping baits and catching all kinds of crazy stuff. There was a kid up here.
The thing that's sad now is because you can put so much line on the reels now. I mean, 80-pound braid's what, 20-pound diameter or something?
Yeah. Well, less than that.
So they're putting a mile of line on a 80, which is a manageable size reel. Once you get to back in the day, a 130 was just a nightmare. You had to harness in, and they're just too big. But we had mono, so we had to use giant reels because you needed 600 or 800 yards of line. We only dropped the baits 200 off because we were worried about a big one needing to swim around. And you can't run with it, right? Nowadays, all the flat bellies, as I like to call them, my grandpa used to call me that, they're putting those baits 800 off, and they're killing them. Like they're exhausting the fish.
Yeah, because they're fighting them for so far.
You're fighting them they don't do that. They don't run around like that for an extended amount of time, right? It's like if you've never run a mile, the first time you try to run a mile, it sucks. Well, you're doing 10 miles for them, and they're killing them. And that's the sad part of the new gear, and because you can take a pretty small reel now and have 1,000 yards of line on like it's nothing, and put that bait 500 off. We could never do that back in the day.
I think that's a very valid point. I don't think it's just the shark fishing. I think that it's with a lot of different things. I think it's with, for us, like I keep referencing it because it's just so common here. Is the striped bass fishing? They're light tackle fishing, big fish and high current.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
And
you're
they're
going to kill them unless you're going to kill them.
Well, you can't kill them. You can't. Those big fish, you can't. We can only keep 28 to 32 inches. So there's a slot fish for them.
Holy smokes! Wow, that's a small slot.
Yeah, and so the thing is that we're catching 50-pounders, and they're catching them in high current with light tackle, which you would use for largemouth fishing. You're 7 foot extra heavy, or you know what I'm saying, or heavy, and with a fast tip. And we're
40 minutes of wrestling them.
Exactly. And those fish are so exhausted by the time they get to the boat and fishing in that current. It's probably the same with snook. It's probably the same with so many different things because those rods have become light tackle. I just don't.
Really big on the flies right now with trout.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you to go up with your tippet because you want to land them as fast as you can to release them with the water getting warmer.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
I was amazed by I caught my first legit browns and rainbows in Wyoming. We were on a pronghorn hunt. And that pronghorn, we scouted for 5 days. The pronghorn hunt lasted 45 minutes. We found a pronghorn, and he kept doing the same stuff. We come over at sunrise, and he's standing there. Boom! We were in town in an hour and a half, so we went fishing. Those damn things are like greased BBs. They're hard to hang on to.
Mm-hmm.
If I go back, I'm taking a real net. I mean. We were in a trophy trout stream, and we were catching 20-inch rainbows like that was normal. I caught a 7-pound brown trout. It was 28 inches long, but we didn't have a net, and I don't want to kill them.
Yeah,
I just want to catch them.
I was thinking about it earlier. You're talking about how quickly you released your 10-pounder with the trout. They have that slime you're talking about, talk about
they just shoot out of your hands.
Internet, assholes not assholes because they're right. But before you handle a trout, you have to wet your hand. You don't want to
we were
grab
doing that
because you don't want to get that. You take that slime off of them, and they can actually die from it.
I wish they would study that. Greg Stuntz is a biologist here at Texas A&M University, I think. Anyway, we went to high school with him, of all things. Actually, he went to high school with my wife, who's older than I am, and we'll make that point. She's older than I am. But they actually studied catch and release on speckled trout because they were wondering how many of them die.
Yeah, the moratorium, yeah.
And he said they basically couldn't kill them.
Really?
He said we took a rag and rubbed all the slime off of them. He said we did horrible things to the trout that were in our fishery or whatever, in our study tank. And he said he said you're better off in saltwater, especially letting them, if they swallowed it, cut the line and throw them back. At least they're alive. Maybe they'll make it. He said usually that fish dies.
Right.
But he said we tongue hooked them. We actually stuck them in the gills, but didn't, like if you rip a gill, they're dead.
Right.
But we stuck them in the gills where they were bleeding, pulled the hook out, like you set the hook and just kind of thinked it, and they lived. They bounced them off the boat and threw them back in the water. They lived. They rubbed all the slime off of them.
Wow.
With a rag. It'd be interesting to see, because the old saying with the trout too is, they're not that durable, and if you get your hands wet, keep the slime on them.
They do.
And he said none of that's true.
They do seem pretty fragile, and it didn't really dawn on me because I don't usually handle. It's like 2 different times of the year for me, and I catch a lot of big largemouth through the ice during the winter ice fishing. And last winter, I took a trip up north and went lake trout fishing. So I was pulling like pretty nice sized lake trout through the ice, and after catching big largemouth, though. I mean, largemouth bass are pretty tough, right? They're pretty hard,
tough.
and rugged, right? And then I pulled my first lake trout out, and I'm like, man, this thing's fragile.
I do think after handling a bunch of rainbows and browns, I think they just don't feel durable.
Right.
A trout feels pretty tight, like a speckled trout. A redfish, you could take a redfish and throw him 100 miles an hour in a boat, and he'd bounce off and go, yeah, screw you, dude. I'm good. They are rockheads, right?
Yeah.
But
you look at a rainbow the wrong way, and
those rainbows, they look like they're trying to die. They're like a horse.
Yeah.
A horse and an outboard. They have one job. They're trying to die all the time. And after handling them, they do look fragile.
Yeah.
I threw every one of them back and let what happens. I know we didn't kill any of them intentionally, but God, they're special. They really pull. I was shocked.
Yeah.
Now we were catching them on 6-pound test with a spinning rod because we thought we were going to hunt and we were going to get the fish like a day. So I don't fly fish. Oh, I got to tell you this story. This is great. So this is the total Texan asshole thing to do. And my son called me out on it. So we've got 2.5-inch and 3-inch Rapalas, 6-pound test on a spinning rod. And I wade into this. I walk up. We don't have waders or nothing. And in the water, there's literally a Range Rover and Ernest Schnurberger III and Thurston Edelstein the 16th with their shit over there. They got $8,000 worth of gear on. They look like an Orvis commercial and a Range Rover with the tubes on top and all that. Not a scratch on it, mind you, but a Range Rover. I walk my Texas hillbilly ass in there, throw my Rapala, and on the second cast, one does a cartwheel, and I yell real loud, "Woo!" Like, I was just excited. And I pull it up. I was like, this is great. I'm talking 100 miles an hour, and Caleb goes, Dad, you're being an asshole. We got to go. I was like, what? He literally grabs me. Come on. He goes, dude, those guys are fly fishing right there. And you're yelling like you won the Super Bowl. And I'm like, well, yeah. I wasn't trying to be a butthole, but I succeeded in being a butthole. And to have a 22 2-year-old kids say, "Dad, come on, man, have some manners here." Like, yeah, I guess I did raise you right. At least you're calling me out on it because he was right. So after that, we just caught him and didn't yell. And we'd stand right by the fly guys and just wail on them. Kind of felt bad for them, but not really.
It's
the fly. What do they say? Live baits 10, lures are 5.
For almost 50 years, Midway USA has been America's go-to source for just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Go to midwayusa.com to see our latest deals and promotions and take advantage of our super fast same-day shipping. If you need a cooler, a new fishing rod, another rifle, ammo, or a reloading press, you can find it all at midwayusa.com. Thanks for your business.
Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
Hi, I'm Matt, founder of Afuera Coffee. Coffee for the outdoors. Afuera means outside in Spanish, and we believe your coffee should be as exceptional as your outdoor experiences. We source specialty coffee, grown sustainably, sourced with care, and roasted on demand. No hype, no gourmet or premium labels, just the best coffee you've ever had delivered to your door. We roast, bag, and ship right here in the U.S., and everything we do has Mother Nature at the forefront of our decision-making, from compostable bags to recycled mailers and labels. Plus, we donate 5% of all sales, not just profits, to charities that protect and preserve the outdoors we love. Ready to upgrade your coffee and make a difference? Check us out at afueracoffee.com. That's AFUERA coffee.com. You'll find our full lineup of roasts, stories behind the beans, and more about the causes we support. Enjoy your next outdoor adventure with purpose and an incredible coffee in hand.
5 and fly is 1. It's truly an art to get them on the fly. It's the next level.
It's kind of funny is like we would bring clients out and we'd get the guys with the fly rods. And I was this guy, man. I was you, Troy, where like we get a fly guy and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, right.
Not a fly guy. This is going to suck. But the thing is, the purest art of fly fishing, and they don't care how many fish they catch. It's just like they'll tie the fly. It's like, going back on it, it's like that traditional archer. It's just that achievement to be able to do such a thing or understand the sport. But as I've started to get into it, there's definitely, especially in the trout world, there's some techniques that you can literally mop up. I mean, mop up.
No kidding.
Comparably. Oh, absolutely, dude. Like, I cannot believe, like, how it, I was a fly fisherman for quite some time as a young kid. And, like, me and Steve had talked about it, like, trying to catch them on dry fly. Like, that's the ultimate thing. Like,
sure.
Like, feeding rising fish with a dry fly, it's a very tough thing. When you start to understand the art of fly fishing and you start nymphing or whatever and you get into that strike zone, you can literally clean pools out. Like, you can roll up and mop fish up.
I've been listening to a guy. He has a podcast. What is that guy's name? He's the guy who invented streamer fishing.
I know you're talking about. Kelly Gallup.
Kelly Gallup.
Yeah, he's a savage.
And he's got a place called the Slide Inn. I think it's in Montana or Wyoming, one of the two. That dude spent 230 hours in scuba gear in his river, and he found out that the fish were not where everybody said they were. The big ones.
Yeah. Well, that's what he does, though. He targets like 30-inch fish.
Yeah, he's a 30-inch. He's a 30-inch brown trout guy.
Wow.
He's fished all over the world, Chile and all that stuff too. But in his wherever he fishes, I should know that because I've listened to like 10 of his podcasts. He's a fascinating individual to listen to how his mind works. The whole fly world hates him as much as, this idiot who says, you might want to tune arrows and maybe shoot some broadheads that actually go through stuff. That aside, he's really a pro at this.
Big streamer guy.
But he throws 4 and 6 inch articulated streamers. And one of the fascinating things, we talked about this earlier about the headshots on LiveScope. When he first built the streamer with a hinge in the middle, and he fishes real fast, he rolls it out, strip, rolls it out, and he works the rod. He doesn't pull. Pull the rod and strip the line. You pull, you strip, you pull, you strip. You're trying to make them react. He said they're only feeding 10% of the time. A lot of the stuff that he said, I'm trying to apply to this fishing in the middle of the lake thing, getting out of the people. Well, he's fishing in the middle of the people but he said the big fish are not where you think they are. I saw them with my own damn eyes and stopped fishing that way. And he started fishing on a 5 or 6 inch streamer, a short shank hook, because he was missing them. Those brown trout are crushing their head. They don't have a big mouth. They're not a bass. So they actually kill the fish, let it go, swim downstream and catch it. Right. Dead. And he said, my first hooks were long because I'm fishing a long stream. He said, I was hooking them on the side of the face or missing them.
Especially
and he said he put a little short right in the head of a streamer that long. Little short hook and started smashing them because they're headshotting it, stunning it. They let it go, swim around, grab it, and then manipulate it to swallow it.
So they do that on jerkbaits a ton, where they take the hook and they run it from the front eye, and it sits back, so they have a little tiny chain on it, and it sits on the side of the bait, so it's just a little tiny bit back. So those two eyelets on a swim bait doesn't have any hooks on it, and it actually just goes maybe a couple inches from the head of it. And their hookup ratios tenfold.
How many fish did that guy see before he figured that out? Because that kind of fishing, you're seeing them. There's no doubt. It's clear.
Right.
A 30-inch brown trout, you're going to see them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he is a bass dork. He loves watching professional bass fishing.
I didn't know that.
Oh, no. He talks about it all the time. He goes, oh, yeah, I watch every tournament.
Really?
Because those are the best anglers in the world because they're fishing they're fishing in closed areas with a ton of boats, and those guys figure out all kind of little nuances to get it done, the top 100 guys.
Right.
And he said, I had to kind of back to the LiveScope conversation. He had to throw out everything he knew about fly fishing, kind of. He knows how to nymph and dry fly and all that stuff. And he said, the best bite in fly fishing is a dry fly. He said, there's no better way to catch them.
Right, that's the ultimate goal.
That stuff. He said he admits that.
Right.
But trophy hunting, he threw everything out. He started fishing water that no one fishes because he saw them.
But did you watch his YouTube video when he was there was 2 long videos chasing that 30-incher, and he was throwing a lot of streamers out in open water on lily pads and dragging it over the lily pads, just like you're bass fishing right now.
He said they'll go up in the current, they feed, they go back, and they lay.
Mm-hmm. And he was ripping out 26, 27-inch trout, and he's like, yeah, nice fish. Not what I'm looking for.
Could you imagine?
I'm the guy at the ramp. I'm getting some people are talking to me now. Everybody looks at you kind of weird. And it's the dumbest thing. We are idiots. We could just help each other. It'd be a lot cooler, but you have to get through all that bullshit. So people say, hey, man, how'd you do today? I said, well, I got a bunch, but I didn't get anything over 6. And I realized I sound like a complete asshole probably.
Yeah, then you tell them.
But I'm not fishing for I can't explain that to them. I'm not fishing for 3 pounds. I don't care.
Yeah. Then you tell them that you caught them on June bugs, and they think you're just lying to them.
Of course.
Well, hey, listen.
Or a jig. Nobody wants to throw a deep jig. Like I'm throwing a jig with a curl on the back and just flipping it in the grass out there looking for them. And they just look at me like I'm a Martian because here I go by my little boat, just rolling, man, flipping. They're just like, what the hell is that guy doing? Supposed to be dragging the willy whacker worm. Yeah, whatever. I'm trying to catch a big one, man.
Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as being a trophy hunter, and you're passing, 3-year-olds to try and shoot a 6-year-old. It's the same shit. And then you go back to the truck, and the guy sitting in the truck. Oh, did you see anything yet? Yeah, I passed a 120. I passed a 125. And they're like, you passed that? Yeah, because that's not what I'm looking for. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
with
you can't kill them if they're dead.
That's right. It's the same thing.
How many people you think
big
are
fish.
really seriously? How many people that are known are seriously trophy hunting? And now, no fences and no money. Like the Jury brothers and all that, they've done a great for the sport, but they've got their own properties, and those deer are controlled. I don't give a shit what you say.
Yeah, but it's not like
right?
Spook Span that pays fucking $100,000 to shoot a 2-inch.
It's fine. I don't care that they do it. There's got to be a subset. My buddy Chris, who I talked about, who I hunt out west with, I mostly go when he's got tags because I'm just not mad at deer and elk anymore. But I enjoy the game. I enjoy the glassing and going to get them.
Right.
Like, it's fun. I don't care who's shooting.
Right.
Like it's just great. I really enjoy Western hunting, especially with him because he glasses a lot. It's really a fun sport. But
I think there's
how many people you think out? He's got a friend. I'm not going to say his name, and he works for the state clearing power lines. So he spends all of his time on public in the West.
Yeah.
And every year he pulls a 200-inch mule deer.
I think that there's more out there that are behind closed doors than we think. I think there's more, guys. I think in every world, in every asset, I think there's fishermen out there that these guys are just absolute beasts and monsters. They're unseen, untalked about, unheard of.
Yeah.
And we meet them at the boat launch all the time, and we just don't know it. It's the same with the deer hunting world. There's so many unspoken guys, and we see them. We might see them at a sporting show, or I mean, I work in people's homes, and you go into their homes, and you're like, dude, what is that? What is that?
Yeah.
Where did you shoot that?
Right.
And he's got 16 deer over 160, and you're like, where did you come from? And he lives in the relative area that I do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, right.
I think there is a ton of those guys, and they laugh. They laugh at guys that are, on these podcasts and regurgitating the same thing over and over again that they've learned from something else, and these guys know that it's not factual because
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many of them out there.
I'm starting to get into the upper echelon of the trophy trout people in Texas. Like, I'm starting to meet the people who are the people.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of the guys I've met and I fish with are hammers, tournament winning guys and all that. They always have a 7-pound trout. I mean, every tournament, it's just wild. And with GPS and just your eyes, nothing's unknown.
Right.
Because we wade fish, so you park the boat. Well, if you drive by the tournament winner, you know where he's fishing.
Right.
There's only so many lures, But I have told this group of people who are pushing into the top of the game, the state record's been caught. You don't know it. Somebody's done it. And they just don't give a damn. So and they say, no. We know everybody. And I said, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
No. And they almost get mad at me about that. I'm like, it's been caught, dude. By somebody who just doesn't give a shit. There's a guy here, Bud Rowland, who caught a trout that is, it took like 4 years. He refused to kill the fish. He fishes with a fly rod only, and he drifts, and he's got an elevated platform with the rail around him, and he drifts across the flats, and he sight casts trout and snook. And he caught a fish that was like 15 or 14 pounds.
Right.
It was solidly the state record.
Right.
He refused to kill it. So on the water, He had somebody hanging on a scale. He took pictures of it, measured it, threw the fish back in the water. There was an uproar. Photoshop, all the bullshit. I met him. He's like the nicest guy in the world. He's got all the articles. He's got like 5 articles of all the stuff negative on the wall, like to remind him. This was 15 years ago. And he doesn't talk. He's probably caught 5 more.
Jeez.
I wouldn't doubt if he's caught 5 more.
There's so
and he
many
just
of those.
didn't even take pictures of them.
There's so many of
He just
those
hung it on a
guys out
scale
there.
and went, that one's 16 pounds, and threw it back in the water. I bet you $10. He just went, I'm going silent. I'm done. Like, that's enough.
There's so many guys out there. When I was professionally carp fishing, it was the same thing. I met a gentleman. He broke the state record here. I mean, you're talking, they just got broken, and it's the biggest deal in the world. It's in every news article. It's in every page. Everybody's talking about it right now. That's the big thing. The big thing here is that European-style carp fishing. It's huge here. And I met a gentleman who was a client of mine, and literally I brought him out fishing, and he was telling me, we were cruising up the river, and he's like, I fish right there for carp. And I'm like, really? I said, how is it? He goes, I've broken the state record 4 times. And I said, excuse me?
You're right.
And he says, what? He goes, I've broken the state record 4 times. He showed me pictures, the whole documented thing. And it's funny, there's a real long story to it, but he don't even care. He really doesn't even care. He doesn't care. He just takes a picture with it, releases it, and he's on his way. And I think that it's happened multiple times with multiple species, and these guys just – they're the purest.
I guarantee you the whitetail deer thing's been broken. I guarantee you. Somebody just ain't talking. They don't want to be known. They don't want to be bothered.
Agreed.
They got him. I mean, that's going to irritate about 99% of the bow hunting or in gun world. But I think every record's been broken, and people are just not in the game. They don't care.
Well,
and they don't want to be known. It's one of the tougher things about the social media thing. I'm about to get 1,000 messages a month. About to crank up. Hunting Public's getting ready to publish a arrow build video, and it's just going to blow up and I get to help a ton of people. That's who I am. It's a part of who I am.
Right.
I can't not do it. It's in me to help people. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I know I've helped a jillion people. And there's a lot of people, and it's not that they wouldn't help you, but they just don't want you. Some of those guys are smart enough not to tell you because you might tell somebody.
Right.
You didn't mention that guy's name. You just said, hey, dude, I know. Like I said about this guy out west.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen the pictures. Chris sends me a couple of pictures every year and says, no one will ever see this deer. And it's like a 210-inch mule deer in Colorado, public, with a bow. But he spends all his time out there, right? He knows exactly where they're at. And he has a lot of time off. So, yeah, it's a funny world, the fishing world especially. It's funny, you professional carp fishing. So I raised my kids carp fishing. We put a front discharge deer feeder on my buddy's dock out here in Lake Travis, full of deer pellets. And that sumbitch would go off every day at 5:30 for 30 seconds. And those carp would swarm down there.
Yep.
Every one of my kids has caught a carp as long as they were when they were like 6. Big buffaloes that are like 35 pounds and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And that is absolutely one of the most fun things, especially for kids. For a kid to pull up a 15-pound fish, come on, man. It's a beautiful thing.
There's an art to it, right? Like I respect the European style of carp fishing. I respect the fact of what they do and what they like entail and how
that's
it
all
goes.
They've got, right? I mean, that's why they're so good at it. That's all they got.
Well, the northern pike is a huge thing over there too, right? So that's a huge thing, but they do it to a different degree, right? It's a whole different degree than what we do here in America. And like their art of it is incredible. They have trench. There's a lot of different European fish that are incredible. But their styles and their finesse of fishing is tenfold to what it is here in America, in my opinion.
No kidding.
Yeah, like you talk hair rigs and you talk some of their, especially with when it comes to the European style carp fishing, the hair rigs, the baiting, all that stuff, and the regiments that they have for fishing. It's tenfold of what we would do.
You know
here.
what we found out, and I think it's the sensitivity of the fish. We caught more of them on straight braid than we did with monofilament.
Really?
They seem to swim off with the bait better.
Oh, 100%. So that's kind of crazy that you say it. So when you tie, on a standard rig would be, they have like a slot, like we'll call it an egg sinker, right? But
I just fish a Carolina rig for all practical purposes.
Yeah. So, but our hair rig, the European style hair rig, is actually tied out of braid itself. So you have a swivel to a little bit. It's kind of it's snelled hooked with a loop on the back of it, and you have a baiting needle, and you feed the corn on or the boilies.
Yeah, but
or
it's
whatever.
not in the hook.
It's not in the hook. The hook is exposed because
listen to
the way
this.
they feed.
Oh, where are they? I saw that on a video like 20 years ago, and I did that with shark baits.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because they feed the same.
I made a dropper with a swivel on it and a circle hook, and the circle hook is not in the bait.
Yeah, they do it with pike too.
It was like an 80% hookup ratio, because when they're that far offshore, even though they're pull and drag with a J hook, you don't necessarily get them every time, especially if it's in the bait.
So
when I set that hook outside the bait, it could be a bait that big, 120-aught circle just sitting there. They suck it in because those sharks don't bite it.
Right.
It's dead. They just go up there and they open their mouth and suck it in like a bass, and they would pull and they're done. Now, we had to have bolt cutters because I ain't reaching in there trying to get that thing. I get my hand bit off. But they were always hooked, in the outer part of the mouth, often through the lip or right through the jaw. And you just cut it off and push them back. They're fine, right? They're better off than you sitting there wrenching on them and breaking their damn jaw. But I remember seeing that on a carp video, and I was like, I started doing that on my carp baits. I just put a treble hook dropper with the bait on it, and I had a circle hook above it.
Right.
And when we started doing that, and you just let them, the minute they pulled tight, every time, just don't pull. Like, just sit there. And the rod would bend and
yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah, so
we used to have the kids had so much fun catching those damn things.
It's an absolute blast.
And they get wrapped around the freaking cables and break off, and you're jumping in the water on them. I can't tell you how many I jumped in the water on them. Like, we're getting that fish. I got the net, and I'm like, yeah, boom, just jump on them.
It's a blast.
So much fun.
It's an absolute blast. Well, Troy, we've had a long discussion of fishing. I know it's a little bit different than what you're used to as far as it's not heavy arrows.
I mean, we crossed over in some of it, but I appreciate the different. I mean, you're the outdoor drive, right?
That's
right.
I
don't know that it's all deer hunting.
That's right.
But I really would encourage some of you guys who just bow hunt 10 times a year to get a fishing rod or two. It's really way better than your Tinder account.
Yeah.
It's really fishing's all year. And I've said a couple of smart ass comments on some of my posts on Instagram fishing, that it's like, okay, we're living the bow hunting life for 10 hunts a year. I mean, really, I think my average, probably if I had to guess, my audience is mostly in y'all's part of the country, ironically. I don't have any Western guys because they think I'm stupid. But not many. But just interacting with people, and then, on email, your signatures on there and stuff. Or they'll tell you kind of how old they are or whatever. Like, hey, man, I'm kind of your age, or I'm 30, whatever. You just get the yap.
Right.
For all the whipped into a frenzy about all the archery stuff, I bet the average person hunts 10 times.
100%.
100%.
I mean, that's kind of sad, and it's another reason to try to build an arrow system that will do what it has to do when you get your chance. But the idea that most people hunt a month is absurd.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't. It isn't practical. Like, you have kids and stuff. I had 3 kids at one time. I didn't hunt. I took them. You take a bag of Cheetos, 2 Cokes, you sit in the deer stand with a 223 and hope something comes out, and you let the kids be kids and just have them with you, right? It isn't about the deer at that time.
Right.
But I said this on a couple of other podcasts. There's a bunch of people I've helped who are hoping they don't shoot a deer Saturday morning because they have baseball at 10:30.
Yeah.
They're out there.
That's when you
and
shoot
they're
the
like,
deer.
God, please come in like 7:45 or 8.
No.
I got 30 minutes. I got to get this camo face paint off, and I got to be at the field because I'm coaching pitchers today.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do think I think it's 90% of this hunting world, guns, whatever.
Yeah.
No, it is.
It is.
That's kind of sucks. Get some fishing rods, man.
You can do it all year
fishing.
round.
Rest of the year, anyway. I mean, you need to do the prep, and you need to do what's right, and you need to shoot your bow, and all that good stuff, or guns, or whatever. But
at the very least, it helps. It helps with the burnout, right? You can't get burnt out on one thing if you switch it up, right? And like hunting and fishing are they're both outdoors, but they're kind of polar opposite at the same time, right? So if you're like hunt, you can get burned out. Well, you switch it up.
Well, there's only so much time to do that.
Right.
Like, we don't have a season for fishing here. There's no off.
Right.
There's 24/7, 365, right? And I'm not discouraging people from bow hunting, but you might want to think about, if you have another thing you could do to get out, once again, back to where you really started, where your brain's just idle. I read a ton. I probably read 10 books a month, and that's idle time. Like, my brain can go just absorb into the book. I'm reading The Brave New World by Aldous Huxley right now. Everybody should read that book, by the way. It will freak you out. Written in the 30s. The dude was like, he had to be autistic or something. I mean, the dude, he was so far out for his time. She was definitely a talented, forward-thinking individual. But back to that, it's just, it's idle time is really good for you, and the fishing thing is really good. And if you can get out and leave your phone in the truck and listen to the squirrels every once in a while, that really does. Or go stalk. Like, don't just climb up a tree and sit there with your Tinder profile open. Go stalk it. Like, do something where you got to pay attention and concentrate. Try something different, just for your own sanity. Beyond all this other stuff, I do have to give a shout out to TAC. Those events are unbelievable. Those guys they found a niche that is incredible, and the demand is off the charts, and the crowds are freaking awesome. I'm not a 3D shooter. I don't give a hoot in hell about shooting a damn 3D target. However, that doesn't mean that I'm not psychologically sound enough or philosophically sound enough, to realize how good that is for the hunting. I don't give a shit what weapon. These are hunting people having a great time. Like, just having a great time. Doing something they love. And flinging arrows around, right? And laughing. So shout out to the TAC events, because they help some of these folks who just really are all-in bow hunters, and they can go do that and hang out with a bunch of like-minded people, and they're a ball. I mean, I can't get over the crowds. There's shitloads of people at those things.
Which one? Where did you attend? Where did you go?
I've only been to San Antonio because it's right down the street, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just blown away. And the people come from all over the country to those things. It's not just San Antonio within an hour and a half. They're flying in from all over the country and screwing around and renting Airbnbs and having a great time, drinking a little too many beers, popping a few brown ones, right? And just having a great time. But TAC has done, it's been, and it's fun. It's fun to shoot 120 yards. I don't care what anybody says. It's a blast. You suck at 120 yards.
Oh, yeah.
Just hit foam. I mean, they didn't make that shirt. I shot with some guys last year, and every shot that one of the guys would say, "Oh God, I hit the target, thank God."
Foam's home.
Foam is
I was like,
home.
it's 35 yards. I hope you're a little better than that in the woods. You know, when you're hunting, it might matter. Kind of shot it in the ass there, buddy. So just foam ain't gonna work on a live deer. But it's a good time. Thank God for those guys. You know. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go. I know you got something going on back there, Trey, with a kid. You got one of your kids barking at you, or your wife, or something?
Nah, it's the dog, the little puppy.
The dog.
The dog.
Ugh.
The dog is always barking.
Throw the damn thing of,
A bone.
a biscuit or something.
That's right. Troy, we appreciate you jumping on with us, man. It's always been a blast. You know you're always welcome here on the Outdoor Drive. Hopefully you smash some big ones. Can you just tell everybody where they can find you and kind of check out your content and see what you're all about?
I'm primarily on YouTube, and I'll be posting some fishing content. And then I post a lot of stuff on Instagram as well. And if anybody is, a fan or whatever, and you shoot something, please send me pictures, because my Instagram in the fall is not about me. My job out here is to help you be lethal. And when you are, I will post you on my Instagram as part of the thing here. The last damn thing on earth people need to see is my stupid ass grinning at some picture with a pig or whatever. Nobody wants to see that.
Right.
They want to see people like them who have succeeded. And I love getting pictures. One of the most rewarding times in my life is September to December. I get just piles of people who say, "Oh, I hit one kind of weird, but it worked." The perfect shots are always, anybody can do it. But
right.
when somebody says I pulled one or he ducked or whatever, and I still snapped him in half and blew him down.
Foam's home.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. So close enough if you hit the foam. But yeah, Instagram, it's Ranch Fairy. You can type me into Google. I accidentally came up with a name that nobody would want in the hunting world, because it wouldn't include tattoos or steroids. So it's not the tough guy sound. Accidental, perfect marketing mistake that thing was. That's the Ranch Fairy. So if you type Ranch Fairy into Google, you're going to see my grinning ass. And don't be offended. Just press play and see what happens. It might smoke your brain a little bit, but you'll be all right. On the other side of the archery world. How's that?
Well, we appreciate you, Ranch Fairy. Thank you very much for joining on us with us, Troy. And for everybody else, thanks for taking the ride right here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
At the Outdoor Drive.
See y'all.
Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, FishingBooker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, FishingBooker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. FishingBooker. Fishing trips made easy.